Welcome to the next episode of Scared Shitless, where we talk to regular individuals who have the courage to go for their calling or go for something big despite fears and despite going through obstacles. My name is Sarah Simajist, and I am your host. Today, we have a very special guest, Victoria Cluney.
Hi, Sarah.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you for saying yes to, I know we're friends, however, it's not automatic, right? I know you run multiple businesses, you have a family, you're very busy. So I don't take it for granted when people say yes to my podcast. So thank you very much.
It's automatic for you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to introduce you briefly because I think I could introduce you for like 10 minutes. But, and after that, I just want to dive into the person that you are.
Let's go.
So Victoria, first and foremost, you're a mom. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's probably the most important role in your life.
It's the role. Yeah, it is. It's why I do everything I do. It's all I think about, the present, the future. It's everything.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. You're also a wife.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are a real estate investor.
I am.
Also a land developer at the same time. And you own multiple businesses.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try to remember these because it's going to be a little bit relevant in the future as we go through this conversation. So recently you bought a franchise, a Barbarito.
Correct.
You have a motel.
Correct.
Where is that again?
Nova Scotia.
In Nova Scotia.
Grand Pré is right on Evangeline Beach in Nova Scotia. We call it like wine country. It's the best.
Okay. Yeah. I have to visit one time.
You do have to visit. It's gorgeous.
That's amazing. You also have a business coaching program.
Correct.
And you have a women's networking group.
Correct. It's kind of evolved now where like men, anybody joins, which is lovely. And the best way I can describe it is like an ecosystem now because it all falls under the same company, which is Build. Okay. And that stands for Business, Impact, and Life by Design. Okay. And so we're really trying to promote entrepreneurs, which are investors as well as business owners, to build their business, scale the impact that they want to make in this world, and then build it around the life by design. So like their ideal life. So we do monthly in-person networking. Mm-hmm. We have a chapter here in Ottawa, which is the OG, and then we opened up a chapter a year ago in Toronto.
Amazing.
So that's going really well. And then we've got the business coaching. Mm-hmm. Which is for really the entrepreneurs that want to go to that like next level.
You have your hands in a lot of pots.
I do.
How? Actually, I'm going to ask you why. Okay. Because, you know, real estate investing, most people get into it for the wealth, for the future.
Yeah.
But it seems that your values pour into mostly those two businesses, I find. Like really, when you lead, especially I've been to those networking events and the guests that you bring on, it's not fluff. It's really like, you know, with purpose. So tell me a little bit about how this idea came by and why, because you're already so busy.
Why do I do anything that I do?
You know, like just add something else. But truly, you know.
It's heart driven.
Okay.
And I'm a very pragmatic person, but there's such a part of me that is driven by impact. And when I came into, first 17 years of like investing in real estate, lone wolf. I didn't have a network. Mm-hmm. I embarrassingly didn't even know the word entrepreneur. That was not part of my vocabulary. Real estate investor wasn't part of my vocabulary. Networking, self-employed business ownership, all of that was not part of the vocabulary. I was very institutionalized with the military. Yeah. I only hung out with military. I like lived, breathed, slept, thought military. Yeah. But there was this entrepreneurial spirit inside of me that like now in hindsight, I see how it all played out. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't aware of it. I was just doing.
Okay.
When I came here to Ottawa, and I joined my first networking event, and you might have even been there because I think we like met.
It was like very early outside.
On. It was outside.
Yes, in this restaurant off of I can't remember the street.
Bank Street.
Yes, absolutely. I don't remember the name, but
me too.
Yes, it was the first time I met like women investors.
It was like 20 of us.
Yes, because my first experience with like real estate investing was Oreo. And we all know Oreo, I don't even know what percentage, but I don't know, 80, 90% men,
Yeah.
right? And I quit after a while because I'm like,
Yes.
okay,
Well, I quit for other reasons, but yes.
okay. I was like, you're intimidated. It's just, and funny enough, now that I know more, I realize that I was in the right room. Like it's bad to say, but sometimes I just felt like I knew more than a lot of people. I just didn't know it because I was just like, well, you must be rich and wealthy because you're white and you're a male.
Yeah.
Like that was my impression, right? But either way, that wasn't necessarily the case. So it's cool that, there was a woman's
the optics, right?
Yes.
The perception that we have when you hold on to this air, but you keep your secrets to yourself and you don't share.
Yes.
So when I went into that event and we did intros, and I remember looking around the room and just being like, I cannot believe I'm in a room full of women, because also being in the military, always being like the minority in that room, and then coming into that space and seeing all these women sharing what they were doing. And I just remember thinking like, they're doing way bigger things than I'm doing. But the second thought I had was, if she can do it, I can do it.
100%. Isn't that cool when you see yourself in another person and it's just like automatic? You're like, oh, like it's just the image, like what she looks like or that person looks like, then I can do the same thing just because they look like me.
Yeah.
And I think it's a little bit underestimated how powerful that is for people to see that.
Absolutely. Okay. Which is why podcasts like this are so important, because you're bringing people to the show who are doing big things, but are relatable, are talking about their struggles, their experiences, and it just normalizes that, so that people who watch that may be thinking that they're alone realize that no, they're not alone. Right. This is normal, and we need to talk more about it. So
100%.
Like that's why it's a hell yes to be here today, is so that we can continue to promote that message. But when I saw that, and so long story short, I was like, okay, I need more of these spaces, because you don't know what you don't know. So light bulbs started going off. I knew I was very capable. I was, had done quite a lot in my career, and investing, had been doing all this by myself. So I started to connect the dots of like, I could do this and I can grow it this way. Well, then like the next month or maybe a month or two later, I get an email saying that like they're closing down the chapter unless they found a new leader.
Okay. Yes, I remember you started leading something else. Yeah.
It was that chapter.
Okay.
So I let 3 emails go by, because I was like, first of all, I'd been to one networking event, didn't know what that was. Literally just moved here to Ottawa.
Yes.
Not from here. Did not feel qualified to run that networking event. But I was anchored so much to what like that growth gave me just from one event. Yeah. So finally the 3rd email went by and they're like, we're shutting it down if there's nobody that steps up. Being military leader.
You're like, I guess I'll do it.
Okay. So I emailed them and I said, listen, I have never done a networking event, but I like run conferences. I, have this background. I feel comfortable in this position. Right. But if there's nobody, I'll do it. Right. Which I did. And then I think I ran it for 3 years, grew the chapter to over 300 members. Actually went and we became the largest chapter in North America.
That's crazy.
I ended up then going into the back of the leadership team for it was called Invest Her. Okay. And then I ran 2 of the behind the scenes of their large conferences in the US. And then
I didn't know that.
Values clashed.
Oh, I see.
Big time. They wanted to take my course and then white label it and then distribute it. Okay. And then we were not able to come to terms. And
I see.
What they were offering me was like an 80-20 split. And 20 for me.
20 for you.
80 for them, my material. I would be teaching it. At that point, we tried to negotiate. It turned not very nice. And I remember thinking like, I can't represent a company that is supposed to be empowering women and you treat me like this. Right. I was like, I felt like they were trying to rob me, devalue me. Like my content's good, you want to put it out to the US, but you don't want to actually
pay me,
reimburse me for
Yes,
it. And when I negotiate to get my worth, then it's like turning not very nice.
Okay.
So that was when I said I can't represent and basically ended it there. And then basically the next month, reopened the chapter in like my brand, me, continued it the same night, everything, because that was from me, the structure.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that's how We Build was created.
So you didn't really skip a beat after
Didn't skip a beat.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it was the best thing that happened to me. At that point, it was a really hard decision because I didn't want to sever that tie. It had given me so much growth, opened so many doors, but goes back to the values. And one of my values is integrity over opportunity. I will never take an opportunity over my integrity.
Wow.
And so that was it. But what I have learned from that is when you do follow your values, like the best things come from it.
100%.
So it doesn't matter what carrot gets dangled in front of me. It doesn't matter what, like money, nothing.
You're not going to jump for something that you don't believe in.
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm perfect. I make mistakes. I'm a human.
100%.
But I really have anchored my values to my decisions. And every time it has felt like a hard decision, I have made that hard decision and best doors open.
I love that. And I think it shows in the events, right? Like I've heard you speak in the events and like the way you encourage, anybody that comes here and the men that come in as well, because it's very welcoming. And the people that you bring on, like I feel like you really handpick them so that they bring value. Just like I guess you saw value in the, women's networking event before that.
Yes, and that's where We Build is really driven from, is to open doors. So it's not, doesn't bring in a revenue stream. It actually can be quite a bit. So we have played with, okay, how far do we want to take it? We had sponsors one year, like we rented a space one year. We let it like grow really big one year. We did memberships. We did, all these different things. But it always comes back to like, why are we doing this? And it's to open doors. It's not about revenue. And so we actually, this year, I meet with the team leaders, the chapter leaders, and we have some other people that help in the background. So I meet with them quarterly and we continue to like reassess the goals, the values, why we're doing it.
And is that how did you have your coaching business prior to that, prior to the networking?
So it was real estate.
Yes.
And again, just like got to a point where it wasn't my passion, and just because I could doesn't mean I should,
right?
Type deal. And so I did like a full pivot about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And I attract a lot of investors into my community, but most of these investors are business owners and investors. So they have cash flow from the business, and then they use that to invest in real estate.
Okay. I want to know, like, what is that conversation like with your partner, with Jeff, right? Because you're already super busy.
Yeah.
I'm also a wife.
Yeah.
And I also have kids. And what is that conversation like when you're like, you know what, I'd like to take this on. You know what, I'd like to open another business. You know what, I'd like to, buy a business.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys see eye to eye right away? Like, what is that conversation like at home?
Super supportive. Okay. Like it's not going to be the answer you want to hear.
Okay, that's okay.
It's literally, okay, honey, I support you.
Okay. I love it.
But caveat, because it wasn't always like that. And so my husband is very risk adverse.
Okay.
And he used to be military police. He was a bodyguard. He is always on alert. He's not been an investor. He hasn't done the education, the training, all of the things to really help us process what it takes to be an investor.
Right.
And so for a while, when we first met, I was investing and really tried to get him into loving real estate as much as I did.
Okay.
There was a lot of friction. We survived 2 renovations, married, doing it ourselves.
Like in your house or just another
rental properties that we had at the time.
Doing it yourselves.
Doing it ourselves.
Crazy.
Not smart enough to hire out. I wasn't sophisticated.
At the time, it's okay.
I know better now. I knew better. I do better. But there was so much friction, and it was causing, like every time I wanted to do something, I would feel like I had to drag him and convince him, and it was just adding a lot of stress to it. And we got to a point where I just had to say, I'm blunt and direct in the most loving way, but I'm like, you're like dead weight right now. Like I can't move the way I want to move because I'm always trying to get you on board.
Right.
And arguably so, because to get somebody on board that doesn't have the background, doesn't have the education, doesn't have the desire or the risk tolerance, you're a losing battle. So we got to this point where I was like, I gotta fly. Like, I gotta do this.
Yeah.
And I just need your support. And for him, it was a release because he actually then didn't have to be part of the decision making.
I see.
So he went into support mode.
Okay.
Whatever you want, honey, like go do your thing. I would go. And we had one time, so we had made some money on a property. I think we had like 150 grand in the bank. Jeff, my husband, I have a text message from him being like, oh, where's the 150K? Just casually, like, hey, honey.
I'm trying to buy a boat. No kidding.
Right? I noticed, not to bother you, but there's 150K missing. And I have a text back to him being like, oh, I bought a house with cash. And then the eye roll emoji, you know, the one where it's like looking up, just like, okay.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Like no questions asked. Like that was how he was.
Okay.
And then he started to see the fruits of the labor.
I see.
And then started to like dip his toes in and support. And yeah, he retired in August and then has really taken over the back end of the business.
Yeah.
And like today he's talking about wanting to buy this $6 million commercial property to put a pickleball court in.
That's hilarious. Like you're like, okay,
I created a monster. But so yeah, he you can't force somebody
100%.
but you set it free. And when you respect each other enough to like follow dreams, and that's what he has done for me, like he doesn't question it. He supports it 100%.
I love it.
And then to have him like actually come into the business and find his role. So I make still the decisions. I do the education. I do the teaching, but he is the back end support, logistics. That's perfect.
I honestly, I like that because, and I wasn't looking for any story. I just genuinely wanted to know.
Yeah.
Because like Leonard and I, like we're both into real estate. But it again, just like you, it wasn't always like this, right? And at the beginning, I didn't start off. We didn't start off, you know, buying buildings and land development and all of that, right?
Yeah.
I started with a little Airbnb that was making me $500 a month, and I was literally like dying for it, like 11 p.m. calls. For like, how do you turn on the TV, you know? And I would drive and do it. Check-ins on my lunchtime. Like I didn't have a system.
Right.
You know? And sometimes I had to be, he knew what I was doing, obviously. Yeah. Sometimes I had to be like, could you, you know, go and do the check-in? But he would always say yes. But the body language was like.
Not happy about it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Until one day I was just like, it's either this stupid $500 a month that I'm making.
Yeah.
But I was doing it because I was like, that's a cool idea. And I don't know, I was just like, why not? You know, it was kind of like my introduction to short-term rentals. And it was like, it's either this short-term rental or my marriage.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't, we were clashing. And it came to a point where I didn't buy it. It wasn't mine. It was subletting. So I just let it go, let the lease end.
Right.
And then that was that.
Yeah.
And we just didn't talk about it again, ever really. But I like the fact that you were like, okay, you know, I need to fly. Just you don't have to do anything. I just need your support. Like if I'm going somewhere, just be home with James.
Yeah.
You know, just let me go, right? And for us, it was when like he started seeing the fruits of the labor, right? For us, it was when we started attending things together.
Right.
We were attending workshops together, and that was during COVID. We had nowhere to go. Everything was online. Like his job, he was working, but like working, you know?
Right.
And And yes, he would join this workshop and it was all mindset. And I loved it. And I was like, I
Eat
was
that
so,
up.
eat that. And he
Yeah.
was just like, oh, okay. And ever since, like, we never had to really like convince each other. It's almost like we both understood the vision, So, and the reason I bring this up because I think that most people think it's like you're born power couple,
Yeah.
or you just split. It's like there's no in between, but there's work that goes into it, and it grows into a couple that are supportive or whatever that dynamics looks like, in the business.
Yep.
It doesn't always start off like that.
No. And that is why we have these conversations, because everybody sees the end result or they see like it working. And the comment I hear the most, especially from people in our community, because they see what Jeff does and he's like the go-to guy. And so everybody's like, I need a Jeff. Like, how do I get a Jeff, right? But I chuckle because that took a lot of work.
Yeah, it's like progression, It's like J and then E and then FF.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, it doesn't just happen.
No. But I'm really grateful where we are today because we're really building something together, which is the direction that we want to go, but also trying to make sure that we're supporting each other. And it's funny, I just came from Altea. I just got a membership.
Oh, and good for you.
Thank you.
I love that gym.
Yeah.
I've only visited, but Leonard always goes like with friends and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. He doesn't have a membership.
It's amazing.
Somehow Leonard always gets invited to places. I'm
guest passes.
I know.
So Jeff came with me to like check it out, but like he's happy in our garage, doing his thing. But he was like, yeah, I was just watching a podcast and they said it's not actually that healthy to have couples spending this much time together. Because I was like, well, I'm going to be here a lot now during the daytime. I'll be home obviously when my son's home, but I was like, how do you feel about that? And then he inserted that, so I'm sure he's fine.
Okay.
So we've been spending a lot of time together. And we're just gonna have some space. But
Well, you can be on whatever the squat machine, and I can be on the deadlift. Like, isn't that time apart?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit to you. One thing I did not mention is that you work full time in the military.
Yes.
And you did all of that. Starting from the real estate investing, to buying the businesses, to now running your business, your coaching business and WeBuild. Number one, I want to ask, like, what was your upbringing like and what led you to go to the military?
The upbringing, born into a military family.
Okay, didn't know that.
So that kind of answers part two of that question.
Yes.
But it wasn't that streamlined. My mother is British.
Okay.
So my parents actually met in Cyprus. So that kind of starts the story because my father was on deployment in Cyprus and my mom was a bartender.
Okay.
And they met and then he ended up convincing her to come to Canada and had me shortly after. And so she's an immigrant now in Canada, doesn't know anybody, and basically was like taking me to his deployments. He would be in Bosnia and she would just go because that's like, she was used to living overseas and doing all of that. We ended up getting a posting to Germany. So I grew up in Germany, living like on the economy. So military can live on base or you can get a home on the economy. So that was a big part of my upbringing because my mom being British, like she had a sister in Italy, her uncle was in France. We would take vacations in Spain and go to Switzerland for the day, lots of travel. And then moved to Canada. And then when I was in high school, moved again. And so
how old approximately did you move to when you moved to Canada?
It was every 5 years I moved. So every 5-year increment. So I was between 5 and 10 living in Germany. And then basically 10 to 16 living in like Southern Ontario. Outside of London. And then moved to Guelph when I was like a teenager. Graduated, joined the military at 18. I was supposed to actually be a horseback riding instructor for the summer. Graduating from high school, I was supposed to go and like do horseback riding instruction. I grew up riding. and then take a year off, and I was going to be a lawyer. That was the plan.
Okay.
I went to the horseback riding camp in Peterborough. I remember that. And just like something inside of me was, it's like intuition. I don't know what to explain because I'm 42 now. So what are we, like 24 years later? And I can still remember that feeling of just being like, I'm not meant to be here. And I'm even back then, like if I say I'm going to do something, I did it. But I remember coming home to my parents and just being like, I don't think I can spend the summer here.
Okay.
I don't think I can work here. Yeah, so my father had convinced my boyfriend at the time to join the military. And then he was just like, hey, Vic, like, want to go talk to a recruiter? And if my boyfriend hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have done it.
I see.
And they went, I remember I talked to a recruiter, and they kept it so casual. It was just like, you can come, you can try it out. It was the reserves at the time, so it's like considered part-time military.
Okay.
So they're like, just come, you can try it out. I remember them said something about like unarmed combat on the beach. Whether that's something I've made up in my head, because I worked recruiting for 4 years and that was never part of our pitch.
Okay.
But it's what I
remember
anchor and remember.
Okay.
And for some reason I was like, okay, sure, I'll do it. And at 18, I was like tiny. I was tiny, like maybe 110 pounds.
Wow.
And like I have a baby face now. I was a child.
Okay.
And so joined the infantry. It was really tough. And yeah, it was the intro into the military. I did back-to-back training. So you do basic training and then I did my infantry training.
Okay.
And while I was there, I'm on this rappel tower and we actually have to rappel down this tower. It's like simulated like a helicopter.
Okay.
And so I'm at the top of it and I see my parents with our, commanding officer walking in the field. And I haven't seen any of my family for months. And it's not a good sign when your parents show up on military training.
Okay.
Like that's not normal. And I thought something had maybe happened to my sister. I was like, I couldn't understand why. Come to find out my dad had lost his job. So he'd been downsized. They did like a whole company takeover. He was in some VP position in Guelph. I was living in Guelph.
Okay.
They told me that by the time I'd be done training, that the house would be sold and they were moving to Portugal. That was the plan.
Both your parents, like
both my parents.
Okay.
And my sister, like the family was going to Portugal. And I was 18, so I was like, well, I'm not going to Portugal. I was like, my boyfriend was my world. And so then they offered me a full-time position working at the unit that I had enrolled in. And 2.5 years later, I ended up like going into the regular force.
Okay.
And then somehow 24 years and 8 months has gone by like that. Fast forward
20 years later, here I am.
Yeah.
And so you're in the military.
Yeah.
But you started investing in real estate in the military.
Yeah. So when I moved to Nova Scotia, I bought a house and I had a new partner at the time. So we bought this house and I was there before him because he was in Ontario as well. And I think it took him like a year later to get posted to Nova Scotia.
Okay.
So I am now 20 at the time.
Okay.
My lawyer from Nova Scotia was like, you are the youngest client I've ever had and still today, like I saw him a few years ago and he was like, still today, like you were the youngest client that I've ever had to buy a house. And I bought this townhouse and I remember I thought I was like the shit.
Okay.
I think I can say that because your podcast name.
Yes, you can.
But it was a pre-build, so I got to pick I got to pick all the internal, so the flooring, the cabinetry, all of that. And I was just like, what is happening? Within about a year and a half, noticed the other condo or the townhouses were getting sold for quite a bit more than what I bought that for. So we made the decision to sell and then actually build a house.
So that was with your boyfriend
Yes.
at the time? Okay.
So we went with a developer.
Okay.
And same thing. I have now allowances that I'm working with. It was $10,000 for a kitchen back then.
Okay.
Cherry wood was the theme. So I would have cherry wood, cabinetry, white countertops.
Okay.
I picked
everything.
Picked everything. And now I'm like 22. And I'm like, who is allowing me to do this permanent decision? It's like actually horrendous.
It was like 22-year-olds in high school, maybe not, but.
So then, shortly after, my partner and I got separated.
Okay.
And I ended up buying another house. And I couldn't end up actually living in that house. The separation was not good. And so I needed to just like vacate because he knew where it was and I needed to be out of there. And so that was when I actually started to become a landlord. So that was...
So you rented it out.
Yep.
And you went to rent elsewhere?
Then I got posted to the US.
Oh, so you just left.
And I left, but I managed it from a distance. So now I'm renting this property and I go to the US. And it's funny because back then, you know, it's not the same, like there was barely cell phone. I think I had like a tiny flip phone.
Yeah.
I have emails in my like old Hotmail account of my friends checking up on the property.
I love
me
it.
like figuring it out, getting the lease and negotiating with these tenants. And coming back from the US, I didn't have the heart to ask the family to leave. At that time, I felt like, okay, I could move back into that house.
Yeah.
2-3 years has gone by.
Right.
Didn't have the heart to ask them to leave, so then I bought a condo.
You didn't have the heart to ask your family to leave Portugal?
The family that was staying in my house that I was renting.
Yes. Okay.
So that was when I got my second property. I bought a condo.
Okay.
And then fast forward a couple years, got pregnant with my new partner and then ended up buying a house. And so I just started to accumulate
these houses.
These properties.
Out of circumstances.
Yep.
Okay.
And then we ended up having one in BC, a condo in BC, and then just started to grow the portfolio from there.
You know what I love? Number one, obviously, like a lot of people think that if you have properties, like your parents gifted one to you, or I don't know, your family's rich somehow, whatever, you know? And a lot of us start from like figuring it out. Like you just said that you had this house, you got posted to the US, and now you're kind of like managing it from afar, not really knowing, asking friends to do it. And that was your first experience as a landlord. Yeah,
and it was born from like something that was feeling quite devastating at the time, right? Like it was such so much turmoil in my life at that time, but it forced me to be resourceful. And through that experience, I don't know if I ever would have gotten into real estate, you know? And so I can always find that hindsight and anytime I have a bad experience now. So it's really helped shape how I respond to bad experiences because it does open doors.
100%.
Yeah.
When you're in it, it's very hard to see it, obviously. Like hindsight is always 20/20. But I'm starting to adopt that mentality. I think that like depending on what it is, sometimes it's easier than other times to be like, okay, you know what, where's the lesson in this? You know, I don't know, you lose your wallet and you're like, okay, where's the lesson in this? And that's really easy, right? I'm only saying this because I lost my wallet when I was 16 and my mom was like, I told you can handle your wallet. Well, which was true.
The things that stay with us.
Yes.
These moments.
It's because I told her that I was responsible enough to hold my social security card.
Right.
And she's like, Sarah, this is not something you carry with you. Even my social security card like stays at home. And I'm like, nope, I'm 16. I can handle it. Literally 1 week later, the whole wallet gone. And my mom had to, God bless her. She literally like, it was on the bus. So she drove to the station and she's like, this is the route my daughter took.
Wow.
And she found the bus and she found my wallet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I was just like, I moral of the story, listen to your mom.
Listen to your mother.
She knows better. And as you get older, more experience in life, like your lessons are either more expensive or tougher or, you know, the obstacles a little bit harder, but you do have to go through these things in life in order to learn that, like, first of all, not everything's forever, right? So if you're on a high, it's gonna end. If you're on a low, it's also gonna end. And just to see, like, okay, well, where's the blessing in that?
Totally,
right?
totally.
Because sometimes we can't necessarily.
It's hard to see in the moment. And
Yes.
something to like really reflect on is like the bigger that you play, the bigger the problems.
Yes.
So if you feel like you got big problems, well, congratulations, you're in a bigger arena.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you want to play in that arena, these
Those
are the problems.
Yeah.
And it's unavoidable.
100%.
And if you have avoided it, I don't know if I trust you because you're not like making moves.
I love it. I don't know what episode it is, but I filmed an exact episode. It was like a 5-10 minute episode. But yes, like if you haven't gone through anything, either you're lying or you haven't tried.
That's right.
Something hard. And I totally get it.
Yeah.
So fast forward a few years later,
Yeah.
James is born.
James is born.
Just out of the blue. He just appears. Okay.
I wish it was that easy, but yeah.
Yeah, James is born. So now you're a mother. You're a mother. You're in the military.
Yeah.
Like, pardon me for sounding ignorant, but like, how does that work? Like, you have to go to work on do you get a mat leave? Like,
oh gosh,
how does that work with him in the picture now?
Yeah, that's actually it's crazy story.
Okay.
So, and not one that I talk about a lot on podcasts, not because it's something I don't want to talk about, but it just never really comes up. So military, right? You go away. That's part of the gig. And I had been accepted. So when I was in the US, I was in Norfolk, Virginia. That was where I was posted. I got posted back to Canada early because I got accepted into a university program to get my bachelor's in psychology.
Okay.
So that's a 4-year long program. I was actually getting a commerce degree, which was like the business degree, funnily enough, but I wanted a psych degree.
Okay.
And I was supposed to be another occupation. So that's a little too much semantics, but what that meant is I was going to go away on a ship for like 6 months minimum.
Okay.
It's about a year because you do like your workups and then you go and you deploy for 6 months after my training. So I'm after my 4th year in university. Well, I got pregnant with James in year 3. So I ended up taking a year of mat leave. So we get a year.
Okay.
But the problem was when I would come back, I would finish my final year, which only had like a thesis and a couple credits. And then when I graduated, I would be gone. Like I'd have to go and do a deployment to get qualified in my job.
Okay.
And I just remember when I was pregnant being like, I was full of what we say piss and vinegar. Like I was just full of wanting to do all deployments, everything I can do in the military. I was that high achiever.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Hard to believe. But
it shows.
Hard to believe, yeah. It's been like this a long time. But I do remember then when I was pregnant, and it wasn't planned, but just being like, I don't think I can leave a 1-year-old. I don't know how to do that. I like couldn't fathom leaving a 1-year-old for that amount of time. So I walked into an office that is called the Personnel Selection Office. So this is where you can actually request a transfer to a new occupation, so a new job, a new career in the service.
Right.
And I walked in, and they came to the front and they said, that occupation is not open. It hasn't been open for like a year and a half. So I highly doubt that that's going to happen. And that was the only occupation that would really align and allow me to like stay home with my son. And then I was like, okay, I left. And I'm about 7 months pregnant at this time. And then a month later, my phone starts ringing off the hook. I get emails and all these different people are coming and messaging me to say the occupation just opened up. And there's one spot.
Wow. Talk about a blessing.
One spot. They're like, come in. Like, come in, interview for it. My grandmother was in the hospital at the time. She was passing away or just passed away. I was like in PEI so long story short, my parents didn't go to Portugal.
Oh,
They ended up going to PEI.
Okay.
That's
much different.
that is another story on its
I'm
own.
picturing them on the beach. What's going on? Okay.
Yeah, no, that they bought a farmstead on
Okay.
off the grid in PEI, but
Okay. Okay.
we'll do another podcast for
Yes.
that one. So I rush in, I do my interview, and I leave, and then shortly after, now I'm at like 8-9 months. So it's really feeling real, like I'm about to have this baby, and I'm really contemplating, how do I even get out? Like, what do I do? Because I'm not going to leave this baby. Like, I just know that.
Yeah.
And then they called me and they said, I got it. And I was just like, sun, moon, stars, align. The reason I walked into that office, I hadn't walked in ever before to request it. So they never would have even thought of me. I would never even known that position was open.
That's crazy.
I aced the interview, like everything went the way it was supposed to. And then I became a personnel selection officer, which is organizational psychology. So it's a lot of like what I do in the business world as well. So it's really given me so much value in military and outside of the military. But yeah, so then I have this child and you just work like normal. But because I had the mat leave, and then I was able to go to school. So I really was with him for 2 full years without ever having to leave his side.
Okay.
I used to bring him into the school, like the classroom, the office where I did my thesis.
Yep.
So he would just come with me.
I love that.
He would come with me when I played sports. I was really active with sports back then. He was just like a porta baby. I would wear him.
Yeah.
And yeah, we would just do everything together.
I honestly, I absolutely love that. And like you kind of know my family dynamics. And when Lion was born, he was everywhere.
Yeah, you guys would come to our gym and Lion, like, right?
Exactly.
More than welcome.
Exactly.
I love that you do that.
And I think like sometimes it's not a stigma, but as mothers, we kind of feel like, oh, he's going to be disruptive. And I must admit, sometimes Lion was, disruptive, and he was loud, and I would take him out and bring him back in and do whatever I could. Yeah. Because first of all, I breastfed for like almost 2 years, so he was like, although at some point they eat solids, but he was like I just couldn't leave him. And I was like, well, he must experience the world. He can't just stay in this bubble.
Absolutely.
And it's like, and it's a baby. Everybody loves babies, right? And I'm not saying it's easy, because sometimes it is tough. You have to kind of like see, okay, well, I remember I went to, it was a huge networking event or a conference, and we're all sitting there, women, it was lunchtime. We went for Asian food. And literally, I'm like breastfeeding Lion. The sushi comes, and he's like trying to crawl away. Every woman is like, "What do you need? What do you need?" Like pulling out whites for me, and like and it was such a supportive environment. And I
village.
feel 100%. And I feel like if you just trust that it'll be okay, and just bring them along, right? And it does get harder if you have 2 or 3, and and you do need to. You're outnumbered at that point. But I do think it's important that you don't stop because you have kids. And I'm going to tell you, it is very difficult. Like, I don't know how you experience that, but for me, once I had a second, I felt it was it was like,
which I don't know that world. And I like knew that one was all I could handle.
Yeah.
Like that was
I
just
get
in
it.
my heart. I was like,
one is probably all I can handle too, but I have no choice now. The second one is just here, and she's wild. But if anything, I do want to encourage women to just try, and bring their kid. And I wasn't never the parent to be like, here's a phone or here's an iPad. If you got to talk or disturb, I'd rather you do that than be on your phone, and I just felt like they're just too young. I'm not gonna. For me, it's like ruining their attention. But either way, like no shade on whatever you got to do.
We were the same. We didn't do, and he read books.
There you go.
And brought little, trucks and everything. And same, I brought him everywhere I went. And I'll tell you, I feel like I'm just sharing all of my relationship statuses.
It's okay.
This is the last relationship. Then that's the whole.
Oh, okay.
That is it. But yes. like James's father. I'm not with his father. And we ended up breaking up about a year after James was born. And then I have to go away. I do have to go away on training, but it was only supposed to be for 3 months versus it might have been 2, doesn't matter, but versus like the year long. So I was okay with that because I was going to fly home on weekends and manage it as best I could. Well, we ended up breaking up. The plan was to have his mother, and my mother was to support James and the father. Like we had the whole family care plan. Well, he ended up going to Alberta. His mother ended up passing away from breast cancer very suddenly. And then my mother had a back injury, and this all happened at the same time.
The system just
crumbled. This was the first time in my life that I had to ask for help. But it took me a long time to get there because, again, I was like so conditioned to follow orders, do what you're supposed to, move mountains to get the job done. And now here I am with a 2-year-old, and there's no way, again, back to the instincts, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to let anybody that I don't know or trust look after him because they can't speak. They can't tell you if something's
100%.
wrong. I looked at trying to get an au pair, a nanny. I looked at, because I was living in Nova Scotia and I had to go to Borden, just outside of Barrie, for that time. So I was looking even in Ontario, who can I get to literally just like maybe get a house nearby that she could look after him, and then after hours I would go and be with him. And I couldn't make it work. So finally I walked into my boss's office and was like in tears, just saying, I'm sorry, but I've tried everything. I don't know what to do. The course only happened once a year. It's a career course. Otherwise I'm not able to be employed.
Right.
So I have to do this training. This is one of the times in the military that like has gone above and beyond and like outside the box, which is unheard of because we're so structured.
Rigid,
So my boss went and he called somebody who lived in Borden who was like the same occupation as I was, got me a room in her house, in her home, like rented me a room. And then he called this training center where I was going and then arranged for me to live off base. So when you go to training, you like live in a dorm. They tell you what to do, where to eat, like where to sleep. You don't get choice. So he did all that. He went above and beyond to organize that, give me special permission.
Wow.
So I then was able to go on course, brought my son. We stayed there. Fast forward a couple weeks, she had a boyfriend, he had a Rottweiler. The Rottweiler was not friendly. I was like coming home, trying to pick James up and try to go to the room, and it just got to be like not a very good situation. So I ended up moving him into the dorm room because they kept the room for me. Because I would go at the end of the day, I would have 45 minutes before I had to go pick him up. So I would do this like Jillian Michaels training workout just to get like the gym. Because I didn't have time to ever go work out because I had my son, a baby too, right? Anyway, so I ended up smuggling him into the shacks.
Smuggling? It sounds like drugs, but
I had him under a blanket, like a jacket.
My goodness.
Because there'd be commissionaires walking around. I had just put a jacket over him and then had him in the shacks in my room.
Wow.
I would do homework in the bathroom with the light on because I'd have to put him to bed at like 6 o'clock or whatever time kids go to bed at. And the thing that was so amazing was my course mates. We would have like a wine and cheese on, say, a Friday night, because normally you would go out partying or go downtown or go to restaurants and that type of stuff. But because they all knew that I was there with a baby, they would actually stay, and somebody within the room beside me would host so that it was within the baby monitor. And then I could like
That's so
put him to
cool.
bed, have a baby monitor. So I'm like, it's like I'm in the room next door. And then
kind of
just
you
have
could
some
attend,
social time. And it was just so amazing to like have that camaraderie. And then the final week of training, I ended up breaking my leg playing badminton, of all things.
Yes.
And now I'm in a cast with a 2-year-old.
Oh my goodness.
And I drove a standard across like Nova Scotia to Ontario, which is like a 19-hour drive.
My
and I can't
goodness.
even drive. I can't walk. I'm like, so it was wild time.
But you know what? This goes back to leading with values. You know, you're
Yeah.
like, I will not compromise. You know, with my son,
No.
I don't care, right? Smuggling him.
Yeah.
The group kind of comes together to kind of support you. And I truly think that like obviously when there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
It is very cliche, but at some point it's kind of like, what are people really gonna do? Like they're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna tell the boss that you have a baby. You know, like that sounds like, no, you come and do your thing, and then you're just like kind of like hoping for humanity. You know,
And it was given, like Halloween happened while I was there, and I have pictures of him going down the hall of these like dorm rooms, and then they would get candy and they would give him candy so he could trick or treat. And like, you know, it was just, those are the times that I really try to hang on to. But born from tragedy again, but we just made it work. And the funny thing is, I did so well on that course. I was selected to be this like president for some dinner that we had, which is usually given to the person who tops the training.
Okay.
And the reason I did so well, and it really anchors even like team management, team building, because the military gave me that support. I wanted to do everything I could to be like the best candidate. Yeah. And they removed my stress because I was with my son. So even though things felt 10 times harder because everybody else, nobody's managing a 2-year-old. I'm doing homework in the bathroom. And I remember my course mates complaining a lot, and like, you know, you get put through the ringer on these things.
Yes.
And all I could just think was, I just have my son. Like, I'm happy. I'm good. I'm just so grateful that I can do this and have him.
That's so cool.
And so I did really well. And it takes it back to like how I treat my employees or, you know, my team and what they need, and making sure that those needs are met.
Yeah.
And you'll get the best out of people.
Yes. And I think obviously the fact that you were treated a certain way, you probably want to give back. Is that true? That kind of like, okay, well, like with James, like I was allowed to do so many different things that nobody in the past was allowed to.
Unheard of.
And now you're like, okay, you know what? Like maybe
I'm gonna
gotta
do my
show
best.
up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like flip it to something different.
Okay.
You know, just really quickly. And then I want to wrap it up, but I really want to get this out. So on social media, you're big on social media. Yeah. And I'm assuming that with the military, that didn't come easy.
No.
Being part of military. And I know, including myself, I know people who like shy away from social media because you're just like so scared of what other people are thinking. And, you know, you're mostly your family members. Like most times it's just like my high school friend, what is she gonna think? Or who do you think you are? Or, you know, an aunt or whatever, you know? And one thing that I've always noticed, but even more recently, I think I saw a post where you kind of like, I'm kind of tired of like, you know, kind of like the hooks and like just, you know, going for the views essentially. Yes. And mostly you just want to say the message you want to say without having to do all this fluff and really be authentic. Why do you feel like it's so important to be authentic in social media, especially that you have like so many eyes on you?
Yeah, I'm so glad we're talking about this. It has literally transformed into one of the primary components of what I teach and what I support entrepreneurs with, because I've seen the results that can come from it. You know, I own a lot of assets and a lot of businesses, and I say my best asset, my most valuable, is my brand. Is my brand.
Yep.
It has opened doors for me and given me opportunities that will continue to just compound and grow. And so when I see business owners, professionals, people who are experts in their craft, but it doesn't translate online and they want more demand, so it's different, right? Because like if you want to do your thing and you're not trying to grow your business, cool. Like don't try to create content.
Yes.
If you are a business owner and you're trying to grow, it's 2026, like this is marketing.
Yes, 100%.
Now, the founder brand, like the personal brand, will grow 20 times faster than a business brand.
Yes.
And so what I'm seeing though is like there's more noise than ever. AI now has just made creating content, I like want to say easier, but it's not better. It's just more noise.
I agree.
You see right through it.
Yes.
So what I think that now is the time for people to show up authentically and not performative authenticity, because that's like a big difference. People are trying to show up in a way that is part of the hook. It's part of the you know, tension that they're building and drawing people. Like I understand all the logistics of it, but I just want real people, because people are craving, they're starving for trust and credibility. They don't need information anymore.
Yeah.
So when you can put aside the ego and you like thinking about, and not you, but everybody collective, like I'm the same, thinking about all the people that will judge you. It's like so sad to me that you will hold yourself back for judgment that you'll never hear.
Yes. That's the most important. You'll never hear it.
Yeah. You can't control it.
Yes.
We can't please everybody. And so why not just want to make the impact that you know that you could make? And that's why, like, when I bring people into my world and the people that I support, one of the big questions I have is what impact do you want to make? Because I don't work well with people who just want money.
Right.
So you need to have something bigger than yourself, and then just continue to reframe and remind yourself that the impact is, the message is bigger than the ego. So it's bigger than me. So when I don't feel like showing up or my hair's whatever, then I just remember like somebody out there needs to hear this.
100%.
And when you can, what makes it easy, because people get overwhelmed with like all the things that they could talk about, and then they freeze and then they overthink, right?
Yeah.
So if you know who you're talking to and understand the psychology of your client, and then your values, so the position that you want to show up in, and then to be consistent. So if you can just structure it to be consistent, and there's ways that you can do it. Like I have my clients build out 52 themes that will be in the way that their, say, avatar needs to hear it. So like I'm always thinking about what does my avatar need to hear today?
Right.
Not what Victoria thinks and cares about, because I'm maybe at a different level than the avatar that I'm working with.
Right.
So I'm like, what do they need to hear today based on like their needs, their pain, and what's my position on that? Like, what's my opinion on that, and how can I bring value? So when I can do that, and I can build out these, say, 52 themes, which I'll use AI to assist me on building out themes, to doing research. It makes it so much easier when it's like, hey, Sarah, this is your theme for the week. Just talk about this. Just show up in like,
I see,
in bite-sized bits.
So you're not constantly thinking like, oh, what am I gonna say next?
Yeah. Be like structured, but bring authenticity to it.
100%.
So when you can get into a rhythm, you know who you're talking to, what they need to hear, what your position is, your values, what you care about, and you can bring those together, and you structure it with like just knowing, okay, this week I'm going to talk about this topic. Then it really just takes the guesswork out of it and helps you reframe like why you're doing this in the first place, to make the impact versus just put the reps in.
I honestly 100% agree with that. And I think like for me, the people that I follow that I like love the most are the people that obviously like they're funny and they have, you have your entertainment.
Be a person.
But at the same time, it's like once in a while they're like, oh man, I just really had a crappy day.
Yeah.
And this is why, and I did this and it didn't work and I lost 50 grand because of it, or whatever. My wife told me so and I didn't listen, whatever it may be, right? I'm thinking of a particular person, which is why I'm giving these examples. And like it resonates with me so much, and I'm like, you are a real person. I don't know you, but those are the type of things that I want to hear, because every single person goes through so many obstacles. And when you see people, it's like, oh, my business made me 10 grand last month. Da, 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 da. But okay, how many months prior to that did you make zero? You know, like it's all fun and games to say like your highlights, but I want that person that's gonna come to you to also understand that like it's not always like this, or like if it is every month, then that's great. But at the same time, like what, you know, maybe you're struggling with your family dynamics because you're working so hard and you don't have all your system figured out. Like whatever that may be. But I feel like when somebody leads with like really being authentic, I just gravitate so much more towards that content. And I'm like, you know, like pretty much like a zombie on my phone.
It's magic. And it's the missing piece that experts are not like filling the gap. And all they want to do is shake people and just be like, you just have to be yourself. That's literally it. You can structure what you think about and what you want to say, because we're showing up for a reason. I'm not just doing it just because, like, I have businesses. I know my brand will open up doors and opportunities. I want to attract clients, the right clients, into my community. But I also know I'm going to do more good with my marketing and my brand than I probably ever will inside my community, 100%. Because it goes out to just like an endless amount of people. Like it's infinite. Yeah. 100%. And so when you show up for the right reasons, to me, it feels really good. And then you get that momentum. It's hard to start. I get it. But the benefits to it are just incredible. If you can find a way to do it that doesn't feel performative, that feels natural, effortless, and that just actually is like bringing in the right people into your world. And then it's like that momentum goes, and
that's a pretty
then
cool.
you actually want to.
Yes, then you're like, oh, you know, people are listening to like real things on it. I have to say, not like, okay, what's my hook, and like what am I gonna say at first, and then I have to keep them engaged, and it has to be like 5 seconds so that, you know, the engagement stays, because, you know, our attention span is short. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Sometimes it's just like, okay, well, if somebody wants to listen to the end, then go ahead. But if you don't, then swipe away. If this message speaks to you, then they'll listen, you know, and be okay with that, you know?
Absolutely. As you develop, like now I can think in ways of, okay, what's going to capture attention off the bat? So you just naturally end up like, and that's just good communication.
Yes.
But to try to game it to get views, which is a vanity metric, like that actually doesn't translate into conversion if that's the goal.
Yes.
You're just like getting a lot of attention. And so honestly, if you do go viral, it often hurts the algorithm for you afterwards, because then many people that maybe aren't your right audience are going to see it, and then the next stuff doesn't perform as well. So people are chasing the wrong thing. If I can offer your audience, if they DM me and they will say shitless, right?
Okay.
So I know that they're coming from
with
your
the
podcast.
I know I put the asterisk on my name, but like shitless. So with
I'll figure it out. Yes. Hopefully people aren't just like saying
shitless,
just emailing me or DMing me.
Yes.
Shitless. I'm pretty sure I'll know who it is. But I built out this like assessment tool. So it takes like 2 minutes. They can literally go through it and they'll be able to see, okay, where their like biggest blockage is. And because sometimes we just don't even realize it ourselves. So it'll give you like real insight into like your situation and then what you can fix. So it just helps to narrow that focus, because I understand this world, especially social media, marketing, all of it can be overwhelming. And I'm grateful for like the psychology background, because that brings all of that understanding on the behavior side. The leadership in the military is like the positioning and authority piece, and then the rest I had to figure out. But now it's good.
I'll put it in the caption and also on screen so that people know obviously where to reach you. And we'll get to that at the end as well, like how to reach you and whatnot. But Victoria Cluney, and then DM her shitless.
Yeah, shitless.
Okay, I want to end with 3 questions.
Okay.
Number one, what is, throughout all your businesses and in your life, whatever
Yeah.
you want to pick, what is your biggest failure that you can think of?
I want to give like a really good, genuine answer. Businesses have done well. I would say it's like the business that I'm not in right now, I would say. And I'm not one of those like, oh, I don't say the word failure. I do. But I also, when I look back in hindsight, like all the steps that I took, I'm like, okay, good step. But what I would say, so Humble Creek, for example, so that
Oh, the tiny home?
the tiny homes.
Yes.
I exited that business
Okay.
maybe 8 months ago.
That's interesting because you went on Dragon's Den for you raised money for it.
Yeah, that's
were
why
all
like
in.
everything went well. But again, back to partnership differences, alignment. I'm a big like integrity over opportunity kind of girl. And I wish them well, but for me, it wasn't going in a direction that I was on board with. And so I walked. This I feel like could have been more due diligence on the upfront. And so when I think about that, I'm like, okay, that's on me. Like I should have done more of that. However, all steps that were taken, I'm very happy.
I
Like
see.
had to pull big girl pants on and made moves and preserved relationships that were like really important to me. So
Okay. I didn't expect that.
I've also lost $200,000 and that was poor due diligence. So I feel like
Goodness. You just said you lost $200,000.
yeah, I lost $200,000. Like again, giving money to somebody that had a relationship with, trusted too easily. That was one of the big lessons I had to learn from the military, because the military certainly is not perfect, and I've had my fair share of challenges within. But there's like this structure and there's this hierarchy, and everybody kind of knows where they stand, and then expectations. And if somebody goes outside of that, if they get caught, well, then, you know, there's a process that happens. That's not what happens in this world, in like the civilian world.
Yes, yeah.
And I really call it the wild, wild west. And so coming into this world, I had this naivety that people operated the same way that I did, or people like, which was very naive. And I'm still naive in that sense of I want to people please. I like have to work very hard not to. And so my values hold me to a higher standard than I want to be. But I just feel like, yeah, I just give maybe too much trust to people. And
I feel like we're similar.
Take
in
too
that
much
aspect.
accountability. Like I'm always on ownership for me. What's my ownership?
Yes, yeah. Like I should have done this rather than like, oh, it's your fault.
Yeah.
I hear you. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one. And
It's a big one.
One day, you know, throughout the interviews, I'll reveal more about my failures because I've had big ones and I'm still going through them. There's wins, obviously.
Yep.
But there's also failures where you're like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Or why did I not do more due diligence? Or why did I take this on without having the proper system, you know, asking the right questions or whatever that means. But yeah, I totally feel you on that one.
Yeah.
Second question. What do you feel that you've had to let go in order to grow?
Again, like bad partnerships, bad environments, bad making those types of decisions. And I feel like I've had to do it a lot. That has made me like pretty strong and has made me more aware. And you know, this other side of me is like, yeah, good for you, because these were things that I was not strong enough to do, like say in my younger years. You know, went through a lot in my younger years, allowed myself to be in positions that like was not healthy or good for me, and then saw a repeat of that, because you just go back into like service before self, and the people pleasing, and trying to see the best in others, but then starting to like put my foot down and say, you know what, that is not right, that is not okay, and leaving those situations. And so I'll still continue to navigate it, because like it's hard to know when true colors. It's hard to know 100%. Everything. And I really valued that Tony Robbins and Alex Hormozi interview. If you haven't watched it's good.
Okay.
But Tony,
on whose podcast? Or is
gosh,
it on a
it's
podcast?
all over the internet.
Okay,
You just have to search.
Okay,
And but Tony actually revealed his backstory to how he does his due diligence with partners, like from a high level.
Right.
Because like Hormozi lost a lot too to a partner. There's some shitty people out there. And Tony's way of doing it is like going like background checks and like going to that level of due diligence. And I don't know, I feel like that is going to be the next thing for me if I do partnerships.
Yeah, and that's not a bad idea. You're giving me ideas right now, like how the next partnership, how do I enter it?
Even an internet search.
Yes, actually, you're absolutely right. It's kind of like,
I never think to do that.
I do this for all my tenants,
right?
And I don't even do, it's like this person that can maybe not give me $2,000 versus this person I'm gonna be in like $500,000 in with,
right?
Yeah.
So it's but I know that when you play bigger games, you get bigger problems.
100%.
And so like I take it.
Yeah.
And I grow from it, wisdom from adversity, and it makes me a better coach, makes me a better investor, better business owner. And all I can do is measure like where I'm at right now and check myself. And so like ask myself like the hard questions.
Right.
Why are you doing this? Why are you staying? What like can you do? What's in your power? What's in your control? What is not in your control?
Yeah.
And communication and transparency. And, if you have nothing to hide, you hide nothing.
I love that you said transparency. One time, just briefly, my mom, I can't remember what the situation was, but I was maybe going to lie to someone and be like, oh, like, I'll just say this. And then she looked at me, she's like, one thing that you're not going to do is lie.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't matter what she didn't, I don't even think she knew what it was about.
She knew.
And she was just like, whatever you're doing, I think it was about an Airbnb, and I was going to lie to the management because it wasn't actually my property either way. Like, I was like, I'm subletting it, but really I was putting on it, something like that. And she was just like, whatever business you're going to be running in that place, you're not going to lie. And I was just like, oh, shit. And I actually didn't. And actually, not funny enough, but like Leonard is exactly that. Leonard is like, I'm just like, oh, we'll just tell them this. He's just like, what? Like, to him, it's not even an option, right? And I love that about him because he kind of keeps you on the straight line. He's like, no, if we're going to tell them the truth, if it's like an investor, I've never lied to an investor, but like, if it's like an investor, something like a situation where things are delayed or whatever it may be, maybe a seller that maybe we need to push closing, whatever it may be. He's like, we're just going to tell him the truth there. Like what else can we do to him? It's like, and I love him for that. Cause I'm like, I'd be like James Bond being like, okay, this is what we're gonna do when I escape the country.
I'm the same. I don't know. I'm just so aware of consequences, taking responsibility. That was something my dad really instilled in me. It's like, take responsibility for your actions. And so what it does is it makes me act at this like higher level because at any time I could be held responsible.
Yes.
And so I need to be able to stand by the decisions and actions that I took. And if I can't, and I also understand like when you do put yourself in the public eye, but I'll tell you, and I know we're supposed to wrap this up, but there's just like, we're going down some good things that can help people.
Yeah, 100%.
Before I moved to Ottawa, I owned this glamping retreat.
Okay.
And it was like these 3 bunkies and a cottage all on the lake. And it was a beautiful property, rented it as well. It was how I even got into social media because I needed to market it on Airbnb, just wasn't cutting it. And one day I turned the camera on myself and I started to talk about how I'm getting ready for the guests and the bunkies. And I was like terrified. But then all of a sudden, we just started to get more guests. The global news reached out to me wanting to do a segment.
Wow.
Like it just started to grow.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with the Breeze Motel when I started to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I knew what was going on there. But we decided to sell the bunkies like 3 weeks before we moved. I was so on the fence. I wanted to keep it, but it didn't make sense. And we had torn down this like the inside of this cottage to completely renovate it. We were still working on the property. I sold it privately to a woman. And I opened up the call. I did a FaceTime. Like she never stepped foot on the property. It was all private sale. So like I could have been an asshole.
Yes.
And like really, but that wasn't how I was. And I was like, do you want the good, the bad, the ugly? I'm going to show you all of it. So to my best of ability, I've given you everything to make that decision. And I ended up moving to Ottawa, running the networking events. And one day she showed up at the networking events. And
look at that.
Yep.
Imagine.
Yep. Follows me on Instagram, is now like a regular at these events. And people are always like, she always tells me that people will say, you know, how did you find this place? And how do you know Victoria?
Look at that.
And she would say, Victoria is exactly how she was like before she showed up like online, and the way that she did business back then when like I was not a nobody, but I like nobody knew.
Right.
And I never thought that I would show up online. Like it wasn't part of any of my plans. Intention. So I thought I was anonymous. And then, you know, it always follows you.
Yeah.
It always follows you. So that was always, it really anchored that for me, that she felt that way and like reinforced that. And I was like, you know, I'm a good person, and, you know, I'm a human. I'm not perfect, but I will do everything to the best of my ability. And for me, I always make it whole. Like I'm not it's and that's a good feeling.
And this is a definition of it will follow you. Like it literally, literally followed you.
Literally
to
followed
Ottawa.
me.
You're like, if I had scammed this woman, you know, like,
or just
imagine
like,
the things that she would say about you. Yeah.
For sure. You know, and like the thought never crossed my mind, but it was just so nice, to hear that her seeing that and then even just like translating that to everybody else.
100%. Last question. Very last one. This is a good interview. I'm really enjoying this.
Me too.
What do you want James to take away from everything you're doing? What do you want him to, like, when he grows up, like, what do you want him to stay with him?
That he's capable.
Okay.
And that, like, the world is bigger than what we know. Like, there's so much more to this world. So I want him, that capability, I think, is like really, really important to me, so that he can go after what he wants and not to hold back and not to sit in the background and on the bench.
Yeah.
You know, I want him to try, and I want him to put himself out there, and I want him to think big, and he sees it. Like, you know, even this morning he said something like, yeah, I'm working hard like my mom. Like he said that.
I love it.
And we were just having the best time, and I was like, yeah, but I mean, when you find things that you love, like, you want to do it, and it's amazing. And so it's and not in a way that, you know, it looks like I'm busy, and I am busy, but it's also, we just have the greatest quality time together. And we're this family where we're independent, and he'll go skiing now on his own for the day. I mean, he's 13, and he's just like,
for sure,
having a great time. And
that's so cool.
Yeah, it's a good little unit. That's what one does. Like, I could just pour into one.
Yeah. You know, I mean, one is not a bad idea. I'm telling you. Once you have two, you're like, oh, yeah, that wasn't such a bad idea. Yeah, exactly. But you know what? That's okay, because I've always pictured myself having a big family.
Oh, yeah.
I just know that, like, the young years are the toughest, you know, and I'm sure,
oh my gosh,
you know, 5 years from, even just 5 years from now, I'll be like, okay, I'm glad.
Oh, you're gonna have,
it's gonna be great. But yes, I'm in the,
you're in the thick
midst.
of it.
I'm in the thick of it. But that's okay. I have enjoyed this conversation, and I know we could go on, but we do have to wrap it up at some point.
Some point.
If anybody wants to reach out to you, how can they do so?
Instagram, I think, is like the place that's home base for me. That's where I build the best community, have the deepest conversations. Victoria Cluney, so it's Cluney. Sounds like the actor, but spelled different. VictoriaCluney.com. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, any other platforms out there, Substack, Threads. Like, I'm on all the platforms.
Yeah.
So
under the same name?
Same name.
Perfect.
YouTube. I've got the podcast now as well. And so we've got great conversations.
So her podcast is Build What Matters. So you can look it up. And Build is BILD.
Correct.
Yes, Build What Matters. And on all other platforms, it's Victoria Cluney. And we'll put all that in the caption. And go ahead and watch. I think you have 3 episodes out now. Do you have a 4th?
So we have 3, and I'm trying to do every 2 weeks. So I've got 5 that I've already filmed.
Okay.
And now I'm just dripping. So yeah, every 2 weeks we're putting them out.
Okay. So make sure she's on Spotify and YouTube.
All the platforms.
Yep. And yeah, she's an amazing human being. If you want to connect with her, send her a DM, but also DM her shit list. And she'll send you that form or that questionnaire.
Good. It will be eye-opening for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so
much.
much
for having me.
This was amazing. Awesome. Yes, and we'll have to have you again at some point because there's so much I wanted to ask, but we gotta stay on like a certain. It has to flow.
It's gotta flow.
It's gotta flow. And for viewers, thank you so much for watching. Just make sure you drop us a comment. Tell us what you liked, what you want to see more of, what you disliked. Just be gentle about it. And we'll see you next time.